Hi, everyone. This is Ann Benedict, Head of Human Resources for World Markets. Thanks for joining us today. We're really excited to bring you, this is our first Hot House training session. What we're intending to do with these sessions, they're an hour long, and we'll bring them to you on a regular basis. And we wanted to bring you the latest and greatest topic areas from our world's leading experts on various topics, just to keep you at the top of your game in the media world. Today I'm really excited to introduce to you Simon Combs, who's agreed to do this with us today. He's our leading expert on buying tips and negotiations, so he's going to bring you that topic today. So I'll turn it over to Simon to introduce himself and bring you the training.
Well, thank you very much, Anne. Good morning and good evening, everyone. I'm absolutely delighted to have been asked to talk to you today. So today's hot topic is a subject that we recently discussed at the MAGNA Global Worldwide Conference in Miami, and centers around what some people call the dark art of pitching new business. So this is me, as Anne said. I'm head of MAGNA EMEA. I've not been with the company that long, only since August last year. And previously, I worked at both Paramount and DreamWorks Pictures, but I figured that after working on every Shrek film and every Transformers film and 3 Mission Impossible films, it was time to do something different. So I'm absolutely delighted to be working with everyone at MAGNA now. Okay, so typically, media consultants like an Ubiquity or an Accenture will send through a pricing exercise for us, for the competing agencies to complete, which, as most of you I'm sure are aware, is to evaluate the strength of each agency's potential buying power. This is clearly only one element of the overall pitch, but as budgets get squeezed due to less favorable economic conditions, all clients want more for less. I was a client for 15 years, so I know this is true. The costing exercise can cover any or all of the following, so how cheaply we would buy a fixed or a set media schedule, what media schedule we would recommend that the client should buy, regardless of what they currently do, what level of AVBs we would guarantee, how we would react to budget increases, etc., etc. There's no right or wrong way to approach the brief. I thought today I'd just like to share with you some of the observations that I and my team have gleaned over the last 6 months on how best to answer a new business pitch to maximum advantage. So today I will take you through how to approach the brief in terms of playing the game, the 10 golden rules that we think should be applied when approaching the brief, how to assess the pitch offering, how then to look at the value and the risk assessment, and as I mentioned before, just a few pointers, the good, the bad, and the ugly from what we've learned from the regional pitches in 2012. Okay, so we call it playing the game because, everyone, it is a game, and all agencies are getting ever smarter and more cunning in how they play it. It's not a complete total game of chance like something like roulette, but certainly you need a poker face to play this game. So we're always looking for angles or ambiguity that we can use to our advantage, what we call exploiting the grey or exploiting the vague. We actually don't like a request that is black and white because, to be honest, that means it's absolutely that much harder for us to manipulate. So here are our top 10 golden rules in how to play the game well, in our opinion. Okay, so starting with understand the target. I mean, it sounds obvious, but that means understand the savings target you're expected to deliver. This may be inherent in the brief, a specific number, or it may not, and it may be set by the regional team. Number 2 is establish intelligence. I cannot overemphasize how important this is, and this is understanding the client's current media pricing rates, and it's absolutely vital to determining our pitch pricing position, but we'll come back to that shortly. Make no assumptions. This means that we shouldn't make any assumptions when completing the pitch exercise. We submit our pricing information based only on what we are being asked to do. So yes, we might know that a client buys premium sports programming or much higher position in break, or that their schedules do not correlate to what we've been asked to price up in the template, but we should only cost up what we've been asked to do and nothing else. We should assume nothing, that the exercise is essentially blind. 4 is exploiting the grey areas. I talked about this, and this goes hand in hand with the previous point. If there are any vague areas in the template, in the exercise, we need to ensure that these are taken advantage of. So in recent pitches, this is included. If the brief hasn't said anything about a positioning break being required, then assume 0. If only prime time is specified, we assume that all the other airtime is activated in the cheapest day part. If day part and positioning break provided, as a total, not by channel, then we do not apply evenly to all stations. We attribute across stations to ensure the cheapest mix. And in print, if there's no positioning requirements, we just assume all standard left-hand pages or whatever is the cheapest equivalent. 5 is ensuring that we are competitive at every single point of the pitch. It sounds obvious, but we know from what's happened in the past that sometimes we focus too much on TV pricing and we don't pay enough attention to the competitiveness of other media pricing or AVBs or even smaller things such as ad server pricing. The auditor or the media consultant will calculate our position across each and every single point. Never underestimate the optimization exercise. This is our opportunity to showcase as an agency how we would employ our smart buying techniques to the client's business to drive savings or improve performance. We have to ensure that it's not seen as just an afterthought. We need to be clear and concise. We need to ensure we explain everything that we're submitting clearly. We have to remember that the reader may not know the market as well as you guys do. And we need to be as concise as possible in what we state, ensure everything is supported by facts and figures. We need to be able to showcase smart tools, smart people, make sure we reference the tools that we have available in the market and demonstrate how to utilize them to best effect. So this goes with the previous point about let's not assume that the media consultant or the client already knows that we have market-leading smart tools and smart people. 9, this is very, very important. We are unlikely to buy the exact schedule. In the future, so if we are appointed on the pitch, we are normally asked to sign what's called a normalization agreement, and that's to account for any differences, because as much as 6 months could have passed between the pitch and how we were evaluated on the pitch and actually what we might be asked to buy. And point 10, this is working productively with auditors. Auditors have a pretty bad reputation in the market, but we need to see them as as our friends. We've recently invested a lot of time developing our relationships with the auditors centrally. We encourage everyone to do the same locally. And the 3 important reasons for doing this are they're a great sounding board and a source of intelligence. They will form opinions of MAGNA and an initiative from our behavior throughout the pitch process. They are what we call the gatekeepers to the majority of pitches. So a good impression on one pitch will absolutely encourage selection for the next. Okay, in terms of how to assess the pitch offering, I just want to take point 2 on the previous slide further, as we believe it is the absolute intelligence is the absolute bedrock of success in pitches. With intelligence, we can be confident that our submission is a winning one. With intelligence, we can win the pitch. But it goes even further than that. Good intelligence will ensure we submit pricing that we can deliver on, that we can meet our commitments. And ultimately, that means that we'll be able to maximize our profitability as an agency group. Everything goes back to intelligence. And actually, we've experienced on many occasions in the past few months a disconnect between our believed intelligence and the facts. For instance, we have markets who report to understand well the current pricing and are confident that we've proposed aggressive pricing. And then in the reality, we learn from our friends, the auditors, we're actually 5 out of 5 in terms of the pitch. So intelligence is everything. Okay, this is an example of what we submit to IPG Treasury and Finance in terms of the value and risk assessment before we put it forward, to the media auditor to compete at the pitch. There's three country examples here. So the first one, country 1, they're basically saying, well, we think we can improve the pricing that the incumbent is buying by 20%. So that represents a big saving for the client of $320,000. The problem is that out of a scale of 1 to 10 intelligence, they've put in 1. They really have no clue exactly how the incumbent is buying their pricing. Their confidence as a result is at only 20%, so they have very low confidence that they think that they can deliver that. It's such this 20% improvement is actually 25% better than the best agency price, and it's 40% better to the best agency price on a similar size client. So all in all, this is very, very risky. 20% confidence level means 80% risk. This is not a position we want to be in. Country 2, they think they can improve the offer by 18%, the incumbent rates. But these have got great intelligence. They're almost certain that they know what they're talking about. Maybe someone that used to work at the incumbent agency now works on our side, or they've got a friend, or whatever. The point is, they are almost certain that they have their intelligence just right. So it means they are 95% confident that they can deliver this 18%. It's actually 10% more expensive than the best agency price, but it's still 5% cheaper than the best agency price on a similar size client, and the risk is only 5%. This is perfect. This is the perfect situation that we always want. Country 3, they think they're being really aggressive. They're going to improve the incumbent pricing by 22%, so representing on such a huge budget a massive saving for the client of 3.3. They're okay with their intelligence. They think a 6 out of 10, so a partial verification. They're 80% confident. But still, this is 10% cheaper than the best agency price and 25% cheaper than the best agency price on a similar client. So the risk they're saying is only 20%. I don't know. We'd probably want to have further conversations about whether or not we thought that was important or the right pricing for them to put forward. Okay, so these are some of the pitches that we've done on a regional level in the last kind of 5 months, really. And this is what we've learned, because there's a difference between myth and reality when you come to pitches. So Johnson & Johnson, we knew that these guys would already have very aggressive incumbent pricing. We also knew they were the kind of client that wanted their offers underwritten, and that means that if we offered a price of 90 euros, let's say, and we delivered 100, we would actually have to pay the 10 difference rather than being penalized on our fee or something else. So intelligence is absolutely crucial before we put the offer forward on Johnson & Johnson. Reckitt Benckiser, on the other hand, a very similar client in terms of style and their approach to pitching as Johnson & Johnson, but we refused to underwrite. Jim Heitner and I went into a meeting with them, and they asked us to underwrite, and we said no. And the reason we were confident, we had great intelligence from our German market that they wanted us as an agency. They were on a really tight time frame, so we felt that we could be bullish and bold about how we were negotiating with them. BWin, they stated very clearly they wanted a 15% minimum savings target in the brief. So some markets still came back and offered 10, which wasn't great. So we had to go back and say no, the minimum is 15%. But we also knew that there were 25 markets and they had 18 agencies and they were looking to consolidate. So we went in and we offered a big, bold statement of an improvement of 25% on what they were currently buying. And it was a bit of a gamble because obviously we don't know for sure exactly what their pricing is, but we felt confident that we could beat it because 25 markets, 18 agencies, it's hard to kind of keep competitiveness across that level. And actually, when I was at the pitch and I proposed the 25%, one of the BWin executives turned around and went, "Oh, well, we can't be buying very well then at the moment, can we?" to his colleagues, and it was like, great, that was exactly what we wanted to hear. Omega Pharma, they wanted in the brief 25% savings target across 2 years. This was a really difficult one because we'd had some local presentations, they hadn't gone particularly well, but then when we did the central presentation with the clients, they loved the rebirth story of a new initiative and MAGNA, and because they saw themselves as a kind of challenger brand as well. So they were happy to award us the Central and Eastern European business and Nordics. Tesco, we had the opportunity to compete in Hungary, Slovakia, and Turkey, and we won. And the learnings, we took a lot of the UK learnings because obviously we had the account, £100 million in the UK. So we took some of those learnings and what had worked into those pitches, and the guys did very, very well indeed. Dyson is currently ongoing. There was no savings target in the brief. Actually, the brief was terrible because it hadn't been set by a media consultant. They'd actually done it themselves, which is the worst possible situation. We offered probably the lowest savings target we've ever offered, only an improvement of 18%, but that was a strategic move because we knew that they're a premium advertiser and that they wanted that the context of how their messaging was received was as important as the price. So we felt that the 18% would be strong enough and that we didn't have to go and offer 25%. And in the pitch, one of the guys turned around and said, "Oh, that's ambitious." So we knew that we'd kind of pitched it absolutely just right. I would also say, as a top tip, celebrate your successes. We don't do enough of this. We always keep, it's a pretty relentless machine. We keep moving on to the next thing, the next thing, the next thing. It's really, really, really important that every time we have any success, and here's a few local examples, that we take the time to go, we did it, we did really well, why did we do it so well, what can we, and just because confidence and momentum are absolutely everything. Before we won a mega pharma in Q4 of last year, Initiative had not won a pan-regional bit of business in 4 years. We then won Reckitt, and we then won Tesco, and we're now being invited to pitch for BA next week. Momentum and success and confidence are absolutely everything. Any questions, Joe? I've sort of rattled through that quite quickly, and I'd be delighted to take any questions that anyone has.
Thank you. The floor is now open for questions. If you would like to ask a question and you have already called in, simply press *1 on your telephone keypad. If you are only listening to the live webcast and would like to ask a question, please dial 347-380-9448 and enter your PIN number, then press *1 once connected. That number again is 347-380-9448. All questions will be taken in the order they are received. Our first question is coming from Juliana Saria. Juliana, please go ahead.
Hi, Simon. How are you?
Hi.
Thank you for your time, and thank you for everything, for the explanation. I think it's great. I have one question regarding pricing and e-competitive against competitors. How can we assure that we're going to deliver the prices that the clients are expecting and the rate that the clients are expecting when we are pitching against the biggest holdings or as WPP or the biggest ones?
Yeah, I think a lot of it, I think it's a really good question because, and I'm glad you asked it because it's something that we get asked by clients at pitches a lot of the time. There's no point trying to conceal the fact that as a network, we are one of the smaller networks. WPP, Omnicom, Publicis, as you say, are all larger than us. But I think we can turn that sort of perceived weakness into a strength. Now, we would say that, okay, let's say a client like BWin or an Omega Pharma, very solid budget, 50, 60, 70 million euros. They would be treated as almost treated as a sort of top client for us. If they go to the bigger agencies who house some of the bigger clients, with sort of 150, 200 million, there is an argument that says that they will not be treated in the same way as such a priority. So we basically say, come to us, we'll treat you like a rock star, we'll look after you, we'll make sure that we deliver on our commitments. Whereas if you go to a larger network, you're kind of like halfway down the list of clients, whereas you'd be right at the top with us. That's the first sort of positioning. We also have to remember that, yes, as a network, we're quite small, but we house some very important large brands like, Unilever, Johnson & Johnson, Reckitt, I spoke about. We're pitching for BA next week, Dyson. So the fact that we are now getting invited to these pitches means that we are considered to be to be in a position to obviously compete. And I would say from a media owner point of view, it's not in their interest either to have one network overly strong. So if WPP represents 50, 60, 70% of all the clients in the marketplace, they can go to media owners and demand lower rates and more AVBs and all of this. And so the media owners, they actually like a bit of healthy competition. So we have one of the things at MAGNA that we've been we spent a lot of time on is making sure that we have the right people who represent MAGNA, who have the senior connections with the media vendors, who are strong in all the negotiation tactics, to allow us to develop that relationship with the media owner and say, hey, help us win BA. You don't want it to go to WPP because they'll just slam you on your pricing. Come, help me, help you. So I think that it's funny that as media becomes ever more commoditized and automated, and the buzzword at the moment is about programmatic buying, the simple reality, it's still a people business, it's still relationships, it's still people, clients and agencies and media consultants and media vendors who need to work together, who negotiate, and and I think that if that's done well, then that puts us in a very good position to deliver the sort of pricing that will win us some great clients.
Ladies and gentlemen, as a reminder, the floor remains open for questions. If you would like to ask a question and you are currently connected via the telephone, please press star 1. Juliana, please proceed. We have a follow-up question coming from Juliana.
No, thank you, Simon. I already did my question. Thank you.
Okay, no problem at all.
Simon, there appear to be no questions in the queue at this time.
Great. Okay. Well, thank you very much, everyone. If you have any other subsequent questions, or you'd like some more information, or if there's anything that we can do to help with anything to do with obviously anything I've spoken about today, please feel absolutely free to get in contact with me or any member of my team. And I thank you very much for your time.
Ladies and gentlemen, this concludes today's teleconference. We'd like to thank you for your participation. You may disconnect your line at this time and have a wonderful day.